Welcome to this week's Down Home with Tina episode. I have not only two guests, but one fur guest. And she is sitting right with me here. I have little Miss Sage. She is just traveling along with me, and she's doing a really good job. Hopefully she continues to do a really good job for us today. But folks, don't go anywhere, because I have from Lancaster Police Department, he is Community Services Officer Mike Jones, and I also have somebody new I've not had before. He is with River Rangers, and we're going to find out all about what they do throughout the state of Ohio. It's Down Home with Tina. Be right back.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
D.A.R.E Law has more than 110 years of experience in nearly every aspect of the law. When we're not just helping clients, we're helping the community. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and around town, because we live and work here too. We are your neighbors, and we want to help you when you need it. When we help each other, we're stronger. Our community is stronger. Creating a strong, vibrant, healthy, and safe community is everyone's responsibility, and we take the responsibility seriously. We are local, we are trusted, we are experienced.
Welcome back to Down Home with Tina. I have from the Community Services Unit of the Lancaster Police Department, Officer Mike Jones. I have had him on before, and I'm just really excited to find out with what's going on. We have so many great things that happen at the Lancaster Police Department. We also have a great nonprofit, the Lancaster Citizen Police Academy Alumni Association. They do a lot of great things. I'm going to let you go ahead. Welcome back to the show, by the way.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I love having you and you guys taking the time, because I know you are so busy doing so many different things. And the Community Services Unit, I think just throughout the years that I initially got to know you all when I did radio, and you just grow and do more and more things. Yep. And since the inception of the LCPAA, they help you do even more things and get you things for the police department. Mike, what can you share about the LCPAA?
Yeah, so that is definitely true. Our calendars are always full with all kinds of community events. Obviously, the Alumni Association helps us with a lot that we do. Yeah. They provide education for some of the officers that would normally cost a lot of money for the department, but also pay for special gear for our Special Response Team, our SRT, which is equivalent to SWAT. Yep. So they do help us with buying equipment, but they also do a lot of fundraisers throughout the year for the children. So the kids in Lancaster Police Department Kids and Gifts at Christmas time over at Walmart. Obviously the big Kids and Cops is a huge event out at OUL. Yep. But then there's miscellaneous events throughout the year that the Alumni Association does help us. And it's always interesting, because even on like SWAT call outs in the middle of the night, it can be 2 and 3 in the morning and we get a call out. We call them at any given time, and they will respond with fans, water, snacks for the officers. So they're always available. I always say all the time, it's such a blessing to have them as part of our, almost an auxiliary part of our department, only because of the fact that we literally can call them at any time to help us with anything they possibly need, whether it's us helping with gear or picking up equipment or water, or even organizing with parking or traffic as well, some light traffic assignments.
And even as far as missing, if somebody's missing, don't they even get involved with that as well?
Yeah, there are times where we've had to call them and help them kind of come on and kind of do do in neighborhoods as well as park and things of that nature.
It's amazing. And I know that there's just a whole lot of things that, I can't even share or begin to think of what we may be missing to talk about.
Yeah.
But if somebody is interested in being a volunteer, because they are all volunteers.
They are, 100%.
And if you want to be an advocate and support our Lancaster Police Department, that is the first place I say to begin, because they can get you involved and you can participate in their meetings. I know they have typically one meeting a month, and not with, again, me to speak on their behalf, but just contact you all at the police department if somebody's interested, because you do have to go through certain classes in a certain amount of time, and I don't know when their next class is going to be, but you guys can like give them the right information
it's
to
the
contact.
first Tuesday of the month. And actually, that's kind of how I started. It was many years ago. It was probably 6 years ago, and I was actually looking for something to keep me busy on my extra time. And I actually saw an article in the Eagle Gazette that made a mention of, still accepting applications for the Lancaster Citizens Police Academy. And I said, oh, this looks very fascinating. What is this? So I ended up signing up for it. And every week went by, I kept hanging on like all the topics. And I literally went home and I told my wife, I think I'm going to be a police officer. And she's like, really? And I go, yeah, I really feel a drawing to this. At that time, I was 46, almost 47, and I really felt led to it. I thought, you know what? I'm needed in my community. There's so much more that I can provide. And so I just saw what the officers did, and I saw myself in that position, literally doing that job. And so at that point, I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to do it. And that's when I then decided to make the decision to go down to Hawking, do their academy down there, and finish my... It'll almost be 5 years that I've been with Lancaster Police Department now.
So as somebody who is a little older and you found this as what you wanted to do, do you recommend others, if they have it in their heart, to do the same just because you're a certain age, don't think you can't do something?
Truly. For me, it was just this constant tugging in my heart and in my mind to say, you know what, you're meant for more. And so I just continued saying that. Lord willing, I said, you know what, as long as the Lord continues to open those doors for me, I'm going to continue to walk on through. And I said that from day one. I thought, you know what, if that door shuts, I know that's my sign that it's probably not meant for me.
Right.
And it just continued, those opportunities continued to open up for me. And I knew Lancaster would take some time for the whole entire process. So I stayed down at Hawking for the first year as an auxiliary down there for them. And then the hiring process for Lancaster went through. And again, it's been November 4th, it'll be 5 years for me at Lancaster.
Nice.
And I love it.
That is so
Greatest
cool.
job under the sun. It's the best ever.
So it's never too late to do what you really want to do.
Yep, pursue your dreams.
That's right. So you all do so many different community events at the Lancaster Police Department, and you are the person that gets to oversee those events. Do you help create them as well with the team?
I do. A lot of it, though, is community reaching out to us and say, hey, we would like Lancaster Police Department to be present at this event. We just got one for a veterans event that happens over on Talmadge, so that's a prime example.
Yes.
Community will reach out to us and say, hey, we would like the Lancaster Police Department to be part of this event. Would that be okay? Does that fit in your schedule? And I'm like, sure, no problem. We'll be there. We can bring a truck or we'll bring a car.
If I'm correct, I think that was created by, and he has passed on since, Bob Jumper.
That is correct.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Is Kathy now?
Kathy
is that his daughter?
Kathy is his wife.
His wife. Okay. I did get an email from Kathy.
Yeah,
so yes, I just responded saying we would be part of that. So that's kind of how things come to be.
Bob and I go back all the way to 1987. Actually, we go back before my birth, I guess I should say, because he knew, like, my aunts and my uncles who both have passed on. So the irony of you saying that and mentioning Bob Jumper, amazing. So that's awesome that you guys participate in those events.
Or I'll come to an event.
You're willing to do that, though.
A lot of times I'll go to an event and somebody will say, hey, we're having this so-and-so festival, or we're having some kids here. Would that be an option for you? And I'm like, well, let me check the calendar. Let me make sure it's okay with my bosses. And I think we should have no problem being there. And, a lot of times it's little trinkets and little handouts. Sometimes it's board games we'll do now as well.
And it's getting the kids to know that you guys are the good guys. You're the ones, because sometimes I've used this example a lot of times that, they're in a restaurant and maybe one of you walking in uniform, like, you better behave or he's going to get you.
Right.
When, no, I mean.
Right. We don't want the kids to fear us, obviously. Yes, so, again, a lot of our drive forward on events, whether it's the festival, Lancaster Festival, or the Festival Fair Day, we try to do interactive.
The Fairfield County Fair.
We try to do interactive stuff. So this year, it'll be like a big Connect 4 board, or it'll be a big Plinko board, so they can play. We can interact with them. They don't see us as the scary guys. We don't want that. You know, that's a misconception
Yeah.
in the society, and we don't want. Thank God we work in a community that supports us and loves us. So I say that every day. I literally work in one of the best communities ever, because literally almost every day people, when I would be on patrol, they would pull up and say, "Thank you for being here. We love you guys. Thank the Lord, you know, the Lord will protect you in everything you do." And so for me, I'm like, thank you. Thank you that I work in a community that literally supports us 100%. So that means a lot.
I've got my ADD hitting, so I'm trying to keep on track a little bit here. We're going to get to this golfing a little bit. Anyways.
It's all good.
So you know, and I've shared with my viewers in the past that I work at the detention center. And just recently, I said to a group of the females, and it's just always by chance, something that, you know, and then it triggers me. And I tell them, I'm like, you know what, you guys? I said, I believe, but if you follow, I said, the 10 basic rules, you know what, you might know what I'm going to say, the 10 commandments. I go, rather you're into God or you have a higher being or you believe, I go, those 10 basic rules, you will have a good life and you will not be back in here.
There's a lot to that.
And they're just like, they just look kind of looking at me, and I go, 10 commandments. Just look them up, read them, because those are, to me, the basic rules of life that will get you through and keep you out of here and out of trouble.
Well, if anything, it gives you a moral compass. Right?
Yes, exactly. It gets you on that track. If I never see you again, at least look those up and follow those, and everything's going to be all right.
100%. Yep.
We've only got a couple minutes left here.
Yeah.
And you've got the golf outing coming up.
Yeah, so this is my big plug. It'll be the Lancaster Citizens Police Academy D.A.R.E. That's putting this golf outing together. It's on September the 8th. It's actually on a Sunday. We did that on purpose so it would work for everybody. But we're actually still looking for sponsorships for our D.A.R.E. golf outing. I have a really big goal this year, and I want to get there. Obviously, the program is meant for the kids, so it benefits the D.A.R.E. scholarship program. So any student that's completed the D.A.R.E. program, they apply for the scholarship, and it's awarded through the Fairfield County Foundation.
Nice.
We want to increase that scholarship program to either a couple students getting more money, or those students that do get it getting more money, or more students, you know what I'm saying. So we want it to be definitely larger. That's why my goal this year is a lot bigger than it has been in the past. So September the 8th is our big D.A.R.E. golf outing at Valley View.
Okay, and they can show up that day as well?
They can show up that day as well.
Or register beforehand?
We're pre-registering, so it gives you the ability to get in now. We're limited to 32 teams. So yes, we really want to get there.
So, and sponsorship, do it, help them out if you can possibly, then
contact me at the
help.
Lancaster Police Department.
So participating or a sponsorship of either one. If you can't golf, you can still give monetarily to help out for this.
That would be great. Anything is acceptable and generous.
Contact information.
Mike Jones, Lancaster Police Department. I'm Officer Jones.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
He and I can just talk and talk and talk about whatever. I appreciate you as well. Folks, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. It is Down Home with Tina.
We want everyone to feel comfortable and safe, that you pick up that phone, you make that phone call, and let us just guide you and lead you where you want. And then you can make an informed decision about what's best for you and your family.
It's Down Home with Tina, and I'm so excited to have with me this week a new guest, never been on before. His name is Geoff Burns. He is COO of River Rangers.
Yes.
So what is River Rangers? A friend of mine told me about you, and she said you might want to have them on. They're a nonprofit organization, and I'm so excited to find out about what it is that you all do. What is River Rangers?
So we are a nonprofit, and as such, we have a mission statement, which is keeping waterways safe and clean. And that's really broad, but ultimately what we do, it started as woody debris, trees, branches, stuff falls into the waterways. And paddle sports are growing like crazy. So kayakers, canoes, stand-up paddle boards, you name it. And as this debris gets in the water, it can be dangerous, especially if you don't have a lot of experience. And so overall, it was how do we move that debris or remove that debris to make it safe for people who don't have the skills possibly that they should have to go out on the water and have a safe time.
Right.
It's since grown into a much larger vision of repurposing debris to become good habitat as we're losing habitat, to do bank stabilization where we have erosion issues, and all kinds of different ways of doing that in a very ecologically friendly way. We try to have so minimal impact that we don't even use heavy equipment, and yet we can move 10,000 pounds worth of trees with our gear that we can pack in and pack out. And so the whole point is keeping it safe, primarily with the thought of paddlers, but now it's become a much bigger scale of just keeping the waterways themselves safe and clean.
How are you doing that? I mean, just because, what is it, like the beavers and things like that, don't they get involved in, because I just remember this as it was a small little creek back behind my ex-in-law's house. And it was a winter, they lived in Buffalo, so it was winter, and all of a sudden, they have a pond, like it was spreading up into their back field because beavers were doing the dam, and then the water was just like, do you find that is, you have to keep that from happening as well? I mean, that's probably part of it, right?
Yeah, that's actually a small part. So
Okay,
like beaver management is a part of it.
Nice.
But you know, the building of the dams and all that kind of stuff in certain areas, if they've been there for a long time, it falls under different permits.
That's what I was going to say. How do you do that? Because that is natural habitat for those beavers. But how do you keep them from making it worse? I know you said it's a small part, though.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, it depends on where you're at. You know, right here locally, we don't have lots of beaver activity, but you go into, you know, Beaver Creek, and now you've got all kinds of activity like that. And so some of the challenges are letting the beavers do what they need to do naturally, but then when the season is over, the reason they make their dams and they build their huts and all that, once that's over, to allow that flow, because now we're getting into impacting the infrastructure and as humans, our needs for certain areas that have been developed, and so we can't damage bridges and things like that.
So you're saying permits. Now that is one of them, is because you have to get certain permits to do that or to clear, and is it everywhere? Because not just anybody can go out and do this, correct? Or can you?
The short answer is it depends, and I hate that that's the answer.
Right.
But the permitting process, there's so many agencies, and every waterway has different jurisdiction.
Okay.
So it depends not only what waterway you're on, but maybe what section of that waterway as to what agencies you have to get approvals for and what type of work are you going to do. So for example, I won't get into the boring parts, but the Army Corps is always involved, the state of Ohio through D.A.R.E, maybe EPA, maybe U.S. Fish and Wildlife. If it's a scenic river in the state of Ohio, then we get, at ODNR, we have the Scenic Rivers Division under Parks and, under Natural Areas and Preserves, and we have good relationships, and we have to go in and say, hey, look, this is what we're trying to do, here's why, and here's our solution.
You have to present it to them, so you're doing it and legally doing it the right way.
Yeah, making sure that we meet all the regulations, and depending on what permit and where, permits can take over 120 days. So getting in and responding sometimes is really hard to do when it's like, hey, this is a safety concern. It's like we still have to go through the proper channels. So.
Getting people the, giving them the knowledge to know where to go and who to contact. Are you one of those contacts that they can say, hey, this is what's going on? Or are you, of course, still spreading the word? How many years have you guys been doing this now?
So officially, our organization has been a nonprofit since June of 2018. So we've been around for a little while now, as far as formally. Prior to that, we were still developing our techniques, trying to figure out how are we going to even do this. Getting ourselves into trouble, frankly, because we didn't know the very permitting I just mentioned. We didn't know what we didn't know.
Correct.
And so we originally got into trouble from Scenic Rivers, not because we did it wrong, but because we didn't follow proper protocol.
And you didn't know there was. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. And so now we've built these relationships. And so, I mean, contact me directly by all means. I handle, as our COO, I see it as I handle the in-field aspects, like the workers on the ground. I handle all the permitting, all the liaising with the government agencies. That's really my purview.
Okay.
Rando, our CEO, he runs the whole company. He makes sure all the parts are working the way they're supposed to, but he doesn't get into the nitty-gritty quite as much as like what I deal with.
Why did they start doing this? Did somebody like you that you knew or he knew that you came across somebody that was getting injured, or you saw this happening in the riverways, or what happened?
So it's not my story. It's actually Rando's story, our CEO. But the version that we get that fits in our time slot. One of his first jobs, he worked for a livery, and the livery wouldn't rent their canoes out when the weather was bad. So, it's a nice weekend, it's nice and sunny, but there was torrential rains Thursday, Friday night, whatever, and so it's too dangerous to go into the river
because of all of the debris of
the debris in the water, things that had washed out. And these college students found canoes. They weren't able to rent them from there.
You're speaking of the
I don't know if it
Hocking
was
or
the
no?
Hocking.
Sure.
I think it was in Ohio, but I don't believe it was the
it was
Hocking.
Hocking.
I think it was further north. But
Okay.
either way,
yeah.
They ended up finding canoes. Somebody rented them to them, and they capsized. And unfortunately, not all of them survived.
Oh.
And he was not officially with the group, but being a teenager, being involved in that stretch of waterway, they found a young lady in her early 20s who had drowned and been mangled in the search and rescue.
Oh.
And it was one of those things that affected him as a teenager, saying like, look, if I make it in life, I want to dedicate the rest of my time to making sure this kind of stuff doesn't happen. Because nobody was cleaning the waterway. Like if the debris just hadn't been there, this could have been avoided.
Yes, right.
And that was really the driving force that led this to kind of be in his mind for a few decades until he got to a point where it was something he could actually look at implementing, and then brought in together a team of us to say
How many?
So we had 3 original founders.
Okay.
But we have crews all over the state. We're based here out of Fairfield County, but that's more or less just like our hub because we have to have an address. Because we do all the work around the state and beyond, everybody just drives to the project site and they last as long as they last.
How many are there under your
depends on the year. We're very
nonprofit?
seasonal. We may have anywhere in the range of like 10 to 15 typically that we have working.
Yeah, volunteers or?
Oh no, I mean, we try to work with volunteers when and where we can, but the nature of how dangerous of what we do, our insurance doesn't let us use volunteers a lot of the times.
Wow.
So planning, prep, maybe stuff afterwards to do some beautification, but the actual in the water work, insurance actually doesn't let us use volunteers.
Wow, which is not surprising to me. Yeah, and it's I don't even know, I was going to say very seldom, if ever, that I've had a nonprofit on that they can't use volunteers because that's what they base it on. That's their backbone of their organization, their nonprofit organization. So really, I mean, what I'm reading here from your pamphlet is donate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way they can be involved and help out and that more so in that way. Or just letting you guys know, which is report a hazard.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we try to give back, reporting a hazard. So we have a QR code. We're working on an app that people can download on their phone, and anywhere that they're at, they can basically snap a photo, take a video, and they can upload into our system, and it'll populate a map. So if you go to our website, you can go to the report a hazard section, and you can see all of the reported hazards that have already come in that we're either working through or whatever the case may be. And then, of course, donating helps us to fund the projects because there are costs to permits, there are costs to scouting, all those aspects of it.
So I thought this was really kind of cool because as I'm reading this, it says our impact. The impact is River Rangers. 3.5 million people impacted. 675 miles cleared to date. Or even more so now.
Yeah, that was actually probably from about 6 months ago, so it's larger now.
Yeah, because of the summer season. 437 hazards reported, 336 hazard locations cleared, and 190 new habitats created. Now, do you do the bigger rivers as well? Or
we can.
Those,
So the thing that makes us really the niche is where you can't get heavy equipment right along the waterway. Where there's a big bridge and you can drive a piece of equipment and reach down and grab stuff, that's not our wheelhouse. We can do that, but somebody else can too.
The smaller.
Well, they can be pretty big, but they just have to be spots where you don't have easy access. So where you don't have a road, or it's a scenic river and they aren't allowed to put in roads, or whatever the case may be.
To get to that, you guys...
We can work into areas, because like I said, we can float our equipment in and out and repurpose it or get it up out of the waterway. And it allows us to go in places where keeping the environment clean and healthy and untouched in most cases is a priority.
Because even in some of the rivers, even some of the boats go down, and when you hit some of those things, those hazards, it ruins your boat and does some serious damage.
Oh, yeah.
Now I know you're more of the kayakers and those who do that part of it, but that it saves them as well. So
we have been asked to even look at some of the lakes, the state lakes and things like that, where they've getting stuff up along dams or if they're up along areas where they've gone. In fact, we were up at O'Shaughnessy Reservoir right behind the Columbus Zoo a few weeks ago because they were doing paddling right on the reservoir, which feels more like a lake, but the whole docks area was filled with debris. It was too dangerous to teach kids.
Contact information, Jeff, because boy, I knew it was going to go fast with you today. We had a lot to do with it.
So riverrangers.org is our website,
okay.
And you can email us from there, or you can contact us, and then we have a phone number, but frankly, don't call the phone number. Just email us. We're so busy, we're so out of the office that you're going to get the message anyway. Yeah. So reach out to us that way. Send us an email at info or me directly at burn@riverrangers.org.
Perfect.
And that's the best way to get a hold of us.
Good luck keeping the river safe.
Thank you.
All of us, all of those who want to be out on the water. So appreciate you guys. And folks, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. I've got a special message for you today. It is Down Home with Tina.
For the last 30 years, I've worked in Fairfield County. The beauty of working in this county is it's small enough that you get to know people on an individual level, that you get to do the kind of work you want to do personally, but it's large enough that we have some resources and we have some ability to bring coalitions together to make some bigger changes.
You have the benefits of a suburban community, and Columbus isn't too far away if you want to get that urban experience. Plus, if I ever feel like I need to get away for a little bit, there's tons of great hiking around here.
Well, Fairfield County is just a really different county, so it's very resource rich. There are so many people in similar and overlapping helping fields. They make excellent community partners.
We all know each other and we don't compete with each other. Like agency-wide, we're all here to serve our clients, and you know someone everywhere, you know what I mean? And so that, I just feel like that helps it to get our clients the best care. So that's a big thing for me.
Community, connections, collaboration. The Fairfield County Way.
Down Home with Tina is brought to you by these amazing sponsors. Folks, if you are interested in sponsoring the show, all you need to do is just send me an email at downhomewithtina@gmail.com. I love music. It is one of my favorite things to, I say do, but what do you do when you listen to music, but listen to music, right? And when I hear new songs, I cannot stop listening to them. I listen to them over and over and over and over again. I have a new favorite, and this is really funny. I just realized I don't even know the person who sings it, but it's called Somebody Prayed. And when I listen to the song, it makes me think about all of the prayers that I feel that my grandmother had for us and our family. We have in our family, this is a guesstimate because I am, there's 24 grandkids, so I'm one of 24. But my siblings, that would make 19 cousins, first cousins. That does not include my aunts and uncles, of course, their kids, now their kids, which now I have second, and then their kids are having kids. So we have a lot of people in our family. And when we had our family reunion a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting with one of my cousins, and he is the oldest of all of the cousins. His name is Rick May. I actually had him on radio years ago, and he's one of those who I've always looked up to. One of my favorite people, though I don't get to see him a lot, but to be able to sit and talk with him and his relationship with our grandmother, who she passed away in 1992, so it's been many, many years. It was pretty cool. So if you get a chance to learn about your grandparents through another cousin or something, do so. It's just so worth the time, and the memories are awesome. Folks, I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you'll find that song Somebody Prayed, because I know my grandma did, and that's why we are where we are today. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. It's Down Home with Tina. God bless.